Now, a train driver who died in a crash near Bedford on Friday passed a red signal moments before the collision, according to a report by the Rail Accident Investigation Branch. Train driver Shaun Burton died and about 100 people were injured when one London-bound service crashed into the back of another on Friday. 53 people remain in hospital and 8 are in a critical condition following that incident. Well, our transport correspondent Katie Austin has been keeping an eye on the initial findings in this report.
So we already knew this involved two trains that were both East Midlands Railway trains. One was coming from Corby, one was coming from Nottingham. They were both headed to London St Pancras, and then the Corby train hit the Nottingham train, which wasn't moving at the time. Very sadly, the driver of the Corby train, 60-year-old Shaun Burton, died, and we now know that about 162 people were injured. So this was a really big incident, very tragic because of the death of the driver. And specialist rail accident investigators have been trying to piece together, or started to piece together, exactly what happened and why. And in future, you'd expect them to come up with some recommendations to stop this happening again. But that's a long process, and right now they've just come out with some initial findings. And one key finding that's come out today is that it looks like that Corby train went or passed a signal that was red at the time, and it was red because that Nottingham train in front of it had stopped because of a fault with the warning system on board. So that train had stopped because of a fault with the warning system that had made it brake. The signal behind it was then set to red, exactly to prevent a tragic accident, really. That's why these things happen. But then this train from Corby went through that. Now, the report, or it's not really a report, sorry, the initial findings are very clear to point out we don't yet know what indication the driver of that train received from warning system equipment on his train or how he responded. So there's still a bit of some questions to be answered about how he came to go through that red signal. But brakes were then applied 9 seconds before the collision, but that train was still travelling at 49 miles per hour when it hit that stationary train that was coming from Nottingham in front of it. There is plenty more to be looked at in this investigation. They do a really thorough job trying to figure out, as I say, exactly what happened, how everybody involved responded, how different bits of equipment responded. So we'll hear more in due course, I'm sure. But yeah, those simple findings from today shed a bit more light on exactly what happened.
Katie Austin with the latest on that Bedford train crash.